Hello, everybody. My name is Sarah Mackenzie. I'm the respiratory therapist working in Breathe Easy in Red Deer. And today we're going to talk about conserving energy. So for those of you that are working through a blue or black binder, this corresponds with section 5 of the binder. And we will be talking about, there's one double-sided page in there that we'll be talking about right at the end. So today we're going to talk about fatigue and lung disease, daily activities that cause fatigue, and the energy conservation principles. So the 6 Ps of energy conservation. And you'll have some take-home activities. I like to call them awareness exercises as well. So we've seen this guy before. This is the anxiety breathlessness cycle. Depending on in which presentation this was presented, we like to explain it in a few different ways because the relationship between our emotions and our breathing pops up in different ways. So just to reiterate, it's really important to keep in mind that our breathing and our emotions are very closely linked. If one gets out of whack, it's very likely that the other one will be affected as well without awareness and being able to change, initiate, stop, pull some tools out of your toolbox. So it doesn't matter which causes you to pop on this cycle, or as I like to call it, the merry-go-round, whether it's shortness of breath that starts it, or whether it's anxiety, emotions. One foot on the merry-go-round means the other one will be affected if you don't recognize that this is happening and take measures to reduce your shortness of breath, reduce your anxiety, okay? So what activities cause you shortness of breath? Just think about your normal day-to-day. What activities do you do or what tasks do you do that make you short of breath? So the picture is giving one of those things away. Vacuuming is actually one of the most exhaustive exercises or tasks that you can do. Climbing stairs is another one. If you have stairs in your home, I'm sure you've noticed that it's tough to get up the stairs. Hopefully you've practiced at this point going up the stairs, bringing your breath with you, as we learned when we talked about breathing techniques. Bending over. For a lot of us, bending over causes you to feel shortness of breath. So that would be things like putting your socks or shoes on, bending over to grab something in a lower cupboard. Household chores. So vacuuming, a participant last week said bending over and scrubbing out the tub. So you kind of got both motions at play there. Taking a bath or a shower. So for a lot of us, having our hands above our head washing our hair can be incredibly exhausting. Exercise. So as we're experiencing, moving our body through space can cause shortness of breath as well. So there's lots of things that we encounter in our day that can make us short of breath. And it's important to remember when we are short of breath, recovering from that shortness of breath takes extra energy. So let's introduce the 6 Ps of energy conservation. They are prioritize, pace, plan, posture, pursed lip breathing, and positive attitude. So we will break all of these down in the coming slides. So let's talk about prioritize first. So this would be in your day, in your week, maybe even your month. Evaluate what you must do versus what you would like to do. So if you're having a good breathing day, and from what I hear, for most of you, you will know if it's going to be a good breathing day within about half an hour to an hour of you waking up. But again, everybody's a little bit different. If you're having a good breathing day, you will probably be able to do more, right? So maybe you get all of the tasks on your to-do list done, and then you're also able to do some things that you would like to do, some leisure activities, maybe getting out for a little walk with a friend, going for coffee, whatever that looks like for you. And we'll talk a little bit more about leisure activities in a later presentation. If you're having a bad breathing day, eliminate activities that are not necessary. So the idea is that we're shaving off and prioritizing the things that absolutely need to get done, keeping in mind that our breathing is worse. We're using more energy to breathe. We won't have as much energy in that given day, maybe even that given week. Same thing goes if you're overcoming a chest infection, right? We feel like we don't have a lot of reserve because our body's fighting infection. Your lungs are full of mucus. So eliminate activities that are not necessary. This is a great time to put off whatever possible. Maybe you get your groceries delivered that day, right? Don't forget to include activities that will help you relax and recharge. So we'll help to identify leisure activities, again, like I said, but it's important to have non-physically demanding leisure activities so that you can still feel like you're doing the things that you love and the things that make you happy, even if you're not able to be as physically active in a given day. So that might be, I'm going to rewatch my favorite movie series, or I'm going to crack open that book that my sister gave me last week and I haven't touched, or I'm going to do Sudoku puzzles because I like getting my brain thinking, whatever that looks like for you. And then you're not just sitting in a lump on the couch feeling sorry for yourself, right? So we can be more intentional with our good breathing days as well as our bad breathing days. So that is prioritize. And once you start to think about it, it does make sense, but we can be a little more intentional with our prioritization. And from what I hear, most people have been in a situation where they know they don't have enough energy for the tasks that they have in their day, and you do it anyway. And then you suffer, right? I like to think about my energy for the day, like a big bowl of oranges. And every time you do a task that's physically demanding, say you have to go up and down the stairs 5 times to do all of your laundry, you're taking at least one orange out of that bowl. And once you get to the end of that day's energy, meaning your bowl of oranges is empty, guess what you do? You tap into tomorrow. So you start taking oranges out of tomorrow's energy. Then tomorrow comes around, you're starting maybe with a half bowl or less. So you're really going to start to feel those effects, right? So if you know you're having a bad breathing day, or say you're overcoming a chest infection, that would be the time to really prioritize your rest and let all friends and family know, hey, this week is not a good week to do X, Y, Z, right? Let's talk again next week and reschedule those things. So we can be intentional here. The next P of the 6 Ps is pace. And this is one where I know everybody can improve a lot because our ego, our brain will say, well, we've always walked at this pace. We've always done this thing this fast. So we're just going to keep doing it, regardless of whether it feels good or not. So we push ourselves and we push ourselves too much and we suffer the consequences. And it feels bad. It feels awful in your body when you know you've pushed yourself too hard because you're doing this, right? Your brain is telling you that you should be going at a certain pace and your body's saying, please stop, please rest. And so you're fighting yourself. So understand your limits and respect them. In this program, you're learning the awareness to know what your limits are. And you're hopefully learning to honor where you're at and respect your limits. Slow down to save energy, right? So I had it explained by a previous participant. She said, Sarah, I was thinking about energy conservation and I realized if I go from A to B in 1 minute and it takes me 4 minutes to recover, or I go from A to B in 4 minutes and it takes me 1 minute to recover, it's the same amount of time, but it's not as much wasted energy, right? So think about your bowl of oranges. Slowing down will allow you to probably do more, walk farther, and now you're not overcoming severe shortness of breath multiple times a day because that chips away at your daily energy. Okay. Avoid rushing. So obviously there will be times in your life when you have to rush, running in from your vehicle in a hailstorm, right? You have to run, so you know you're going to be short of breath. But whenever you have time on your side, give yourself the time, give yourself permission to slow down, and it will be amazing how much better you feel. Be aware and practice. Alternate heavy and light tasks. So again, thinking about that big bowl of energy. You don't want to use all one day's energy doing all of the heavy lifting. And so heavy tasks could be, vacuuming, scrubbing out the tub, carrying groceries, walking up and down the stairs, doing your laundry. For people with chronic lung disease, especially the more advanced stages, that's too many things in a day and you're just going to feel wiped. So alternate your heavy and light tasks. And break down difficult tasks into small steps. So again, this one takes a lot of patience and practice because it really feels good to sit down with a sparkling clean house knowing that absolutely everything is done and now you can relax. But if you're sacrificing today's, tomorrow's, and maybe even the next day's energy to get there, it's not worth it, right? So a common thing that I hear is separating vacuuming into 2 or 3 chunks. And those 2 or 3 chunks don't even have to happen on the same day. Maybe you do living room, bedroom. Then the next day you do a couple more bedrooms. Then the next day you do basement, right? It takes you longer. Your brain, your ego is not going to like that initially, but the tasks will get done and you're saving your energy, right? And this is the thing, these are the things that are going to really make a difference in your life. And take breaks. So this is, again, high level awareness. Oh, I only have one more bedroom to do. My Borg scale, my breathing is 8 out of 10, but I'm just going to push myself because then I can relax. As you've probably experienced, pushing yourself when your body is telling you to break and rest and breathe, you're going to get too exhausted. You're going to waste too much energy. So when your body tells you to break, when you notice that changing in your breathing, maybe you've started panting, that's when you need to stop. It doesn't matter how much is left. Stop and catch your breath. When you feel like you can proceed, then we carry on, right? So that's pace. So now that you know, pay attention to how you're living your day to day and where you can slow down a little bit and give yourself a rest. Okay. And get good rest and sleep. So we refill our bowl of oranges when we're sleeping. We'll talk about sleep hygiene in a later presentation, but it's really important when we wake up in the morning that we're starting with a full bowl of oranges, right? So plan. So stay active within your limits. Plan a realistic schedule for the day, week, month. I'm sure we've all had that experience where you look at your week and you think, OMG, every single day I have at least one appointment. And you get that feeling of impending doom, like when am I going to rest? I'm not going to get my nap in, all of those things. And it's a really bad sinking feeling. So whenever you can, if specialist appointments are one thing, they tell you when and where to show up and you kind of have to, but take a look at your day, take a look at your week and see if that's something that seems doable, right? And in a given day, if you have a crappy sleep and you wake up and you don't have your full bowl of oranges, that's when we would reschedule things, drop things off the list that don't absolutely have to be done. But you can do that taking a look at the week ahead and be like, oh, you know what? I didn't realize I had that coffee date with my sister in the afternoon after having 2 appointments. And I'm not going to be good company at that point. So I'm going to reschedule that to next week, right? So again, you can be intentional with your planning so that you're not having to push yourself, waste a lot of energy, and also be horrible company, right? Because you're tired and you want to lie down. Recognize. So day-to-day differences. What time of day do you have the most energy? So this one's interesting. Everybody's different. 2 people with moderate COPD, one person could feel the best in the morning and one person could feel the best in the afternoon. So it's really important that you know what time of day you have the most energy. You can be intentional with planning your outings, your more physically demanding leisure activities, your cleaning during the time of day when you feel the best, so that when you start to drop off or you start to feel a little bit worse, you can rest. You've already done what you needed to do, and now you can rest. Schedule activities when energy levels are higher. So this would be a good, if you get a call from a friend, they want to meet for a coffee or a walk or curling or whatever it is that you do, whenever possible, try and schedule that for when your breathing feels the best. So if they say, hey, want to meet at 9:30 for coffee, and at 9:30 you're still coughing up your phlegm, you're still doing your breathing techniques, you don't want to have to rush that whenever possible. So schedule it for a bit later so that you're feeling good, right? And then you can enjoy yourself. So that's plan. Posture. So we talked a little bit about body position when we talked about our breathing techniques. Be aware of your posture when you're active. Be aware of moves that increase your shortness of breath. So whenever possible, work when sitting with your elbows supported. So when we're sitting with our elbows supported, we are stable. We're not using any more muscles than we need to, and we can focus on our breathing, right? Avoid carrying heavy items. Push or pull them. So a good example of this, one guy last week said, I have a collapsible wagon with huge wheels that I put my grocery bags in. So I pull that thing out of my garage, I wheel it over to my car, I put the bags in the cart, and then it can go right up the stairs and into the house so that I don't have to carry things up the stairs. So again, energy conservation, right? And carry items close to your body. So in our exercise, we're learning with our front raises that you don't need to have too much weight in your hand for that exercise to be challenging, because our arm is a long lever. By carrying items close to your body, that's a short lever. So you can engage your core, you can engage the bigger muscles on your sides and back to make it easier to carry. Posture continued. So organize your environment. Place items in convenient locations, and whenever possible, have duplicates of commonly used items. So this would be, a good example would be your bedroom Ventolin, your living room Ventolin, and your car Ventolin, so that you're not having to walk up and down the hallway to grab your Ventolin when you feel like you need it. Or phone cords, right? If you think about your bowl of oranges, your bowl of energy, if you're walking up and down the hallway to grab your phone card multiple times a day, it's chipping away at your energy. So have one in the living room, have one in the kitchen, have one in the bedroom. Okay. Work at a height that allows you good posture. A great example of this would be hunching over the kitchen table, chopping vegetables for dinner, right? You're hunching over, that doesn't allow full lung expansion. Your back's going to get sore, which won't allow you to breathe as adequately. And you're probably going to feel a little bit short of breath. So shoehorns, shower seats, and handrails. Again, making these tasks use as little energy as possible. So especially in the shower, if you find that standing up and getting your hands over your head is exhausting, take a seat. Using handrails means you're taking balance out of the equation, right? You don't want to go down. That's going to cause way more problems than good. Four-wheeled walkers. So the idea is to reduce shortness of breath, fatigue, and pain, and also improve your balance, right? Especially if you are on home oxygen, being able to put the oxygen in the basket of the walker so you're not carrying anything. You won't fatigue your muscles as quickly. You'll probably notice you're able to walk a little farther, and you have that steadiness. So that's posture. Let's talk about pursed-lip breathing. So we've learned our breathing techniques, and it's really important that we utilize our breathing techniques when we're doing activities that make us short of breath, right? So it's human nature to want to hold our breath whenever we do something difficult. So you have to lift up a box, you brace yourself, and then you lift up. That's going to make you even more short of breath than if you keep your breath flowing, right? So again, inhale through your nose or mouth. That's not as important. Get the air in. Then purse your lips and exhale as you bend, lift, or reach. So if you're lifting up a box, you get down, take a breath in, and lift it up as you're breathing out. Your core is coming together. You're stabilizing during that breath out, which allows you to lift from there. Okay. Or if you like the opposite way better, just keep in mind, don't hold your breath when you're doing activities, right? Keep your breath flowing and it will help with your breathing. And your exhalation should be 2 to 3 times longer than inhalation because we're keeping air trapping in mind, right? We do not want to be panting because you will air trap, which will make your shortness of breath worse. And do not force your lungs to empty. So we never want to force our breath at all. The pursed lips is just a gentle pursing of the lips until you feel like you have to breathe in again. Which brings us to our last P, positive attitude. So living with the lung disease is challenging, as I'm sure you've all experienced on almost a day-to-day. Be patient and tolerant with yourself, your family, and friends. So especially during the program, you're learning all of the tools, tips, and tricks to become aware of your breathing, to become empowered to manage day to day, and to become more confident to communicate what your needs are with your friends and family. So be patient with this process. It's going to take a lot of practice to get better at these things, but you can get better. Keep your sense of humor. So it beats the alternative, right? And things can get pretty dismal, especially if you've been on antibiotics round after round, if you've felt like you've had more bad breathing days than good breathing days, crappy sleeps, there's so many variables at play. It's really hard to keep it light, but keep your sense of humor as much as you can, and you will notice that the ability to laugh will lighten your load. See yourself making the most of life rather than becoming a victim of your lung disease. So really what we're learning in this whole program is tools to help you manage and become empowered. And from a position of empowerment, it's really hard to be a victim because you have what you need to manage, right? You won't always have good breathing days. You won't always have the ability to laugh, but you will have less of those because you have the tools, right? And that is really what's going to see you through each day. So, my friends, that is it for energy conservation. How confident do you feel you can apply the energy conservation principles discussed today? So, my challenge, if you're not feeling super confident, maybe 5 or less, live a few days, pay attention, notice where you're wasting energy. How many bowls or how many oranges do you have left in your energy bowl at the end of the day? Right? And make those changes and adjustments. It's the small things that add up to big changes. So saving yourself walking up and down the hall, up and down the stairs, having a super heavy day, having a super heavy week, those are going to make big differences in your life. So to summarize, follow these 6 Ps to conserve your energy, get the most out of every day. Here they are again: prioritize, pace, plan, posture, pursed-lip breathing, and positive attitude. So, like I said, take a look at where you're spending your energy, how you can, maybe there's something you need to start doing, stop doing, change, tweak, just to make sure that you're not wasting too much energy. And that, my friends, is it. So before we end, I'll just have you take a look at section 5 of the binder. All of your 6 Ps can be found in here. It's a front and back sheet, and there's some good reference in here. So if it starts to not be super fresh in your mind, know that you have this sheet, okay? Alrighty, and till next time.